Hello, this is going to be the first video of a multi-video series on modeling a 3D fire extinguisher. And the reason that this is getting modeled is it's just something that's in my room and in my classes. For some reason, 9 has become the magic number, and anything that the kids are part modeling um, and like trying to work to improve new 3D skills or whatever. I always say there's got to be a minimum of 9 unique parts. And sometimes I'll have students do 40, and sometimes, but that really prevents getting too few parts where there's just not enough rigor for the project. So, as in later videos, I will share a photo of the one that I'm drawing, so you can see some clearer pictures. But this is basically it. And the part that I'll draw first is going to be this tank, and where I'm pointing at with my little mouse hand right here is this curved portion of the tank. And so on this project, I've created a whole series of drawings for the students so that they have, and they look like this. Part of this is so students can apply. I will have students do it on their own from time to time, but this is so that they can apply use of multi-views and perspective drawings, and measurement, dimensioning, those types of things. Okay. So what I'm going to do is put I'm going to snip a part of this right here and use this information to draw the tank. I might make the tank into 2 videos, but the first part of it's very easy, and it's just a cylinder. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and try to, where's my zoom? I like to zoom out of this a little bit, but so I'm going to go Windows button Shift letter S to snip this, and I'm going to go ahead and pop this in my AutoCAD drawing, and that'll be my starting point. I only put these so that it's real easy to do this if you're working in a 2-dimensional space, and I can do the bulk of this in 2 dimensions. Okay, for my students, I keep telling them, do if you the higher percentage of things you can do in 2 dimensions, the quicker your 3-dimensional work is. Okay. So what I'm going to do, if I look at this, I see that I have a tank and it's got a diameter of 5.75, and then the wall thickness, or the thickness of the steel that this is actually made from, is 0.070 inches. Okay. This says right here, this part, you might wonder, what is a bottom plug? It's just a plate. It's got the same thickness. And it says that it's recessed 1.5 inch in over here. It says it's recessed a 1/2 inch into the bottom of the tank. Another thing to look at and note right here, if you look, and I'm going to move my mouse is over here. If I look from the very bottom of the tank all the way up to the base of what I would call the neck, I know it's hard to see my mouse, but where that little spout is, it says over here it's 15.5 inches. Okay, but when I come down here, I showed a portion that's right above my mouse here, where it's showing a curve, and that to get that dome-shaped portion, the height of that curve is 1 inch off of an imaginary baseline. So the other thing, when I get down to here, that measurement of 15.5 inches will actually get shorter. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start with a diameter, a circle with the diameter of the tank. If you haven't been in AutoCAD in a while, my ribbon is set up for 2 dimensions right now. So I'm going to go ahead and change it to a 3D modeling ribbon down here with the little settings wheel. And I'm going to start by just drawing a circle with a diameter of 5.75 inches. And who knows, where did that circle go? Is it here? Yep, that's it. So this image that I brought in was way too big. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over to here. Get this a little bit closer. Still very large. Sorry about this. I should have double checked it. Still going to shrink this down quite a bit. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. And I'm just going to check this. LI spacebar is my shortcut for list. And for some reason that says, what is the diameter? Gives me a radius 2 7/8. So that is my circle. Okay. Coming back here, I look at wall thickness and it says 0.70. So if I offset this 0.70 to the inside, click the outside of the tank, use the offset tool, type in 0.70. Now you can see I have a circle within a circle. And that, I'm still going to go ahead and make that a little smaller. That now can be used, I can steal this inner circle and use it for the plug or the metal plate that would be welded on the inside of the tank. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is, while I'm here in a top view, I'm going to set myself up for the drawing the top of the tank. And so the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use a construction line. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a horizontal line that is the same length as the diameter, the outside diameter of the tank, which was 5.75. Since I came over here and I showed that the curvature from this imaginary dotted line to the very highest point of the tank was 1 inch, I can, apparently my object snaps are not on, I can go ahead and just draw a vertical line 1 inch. At this point now I can just use an arc and go click from there to there to there. That's not a part of the object, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that back on object lines or whatever I had drawn that on. There we go, object lines. Oops. There we go. And I'm going to, likewise, I'm going to offset this 0.70 inches. Oops, must have been 0.070. Offset 0.070. Excuse me. And there I go. Okay. I have to go ahead and trim where this is overhanging. And then I'm going to go ahead also and trim this entire right side. I don't need that at all. Okay. At this point, I can go ahead and draw a line from here. Oops, got to be on my other layer. Layers, object lines. I can draw a line from here to here. And then come in and draw one from here to here. Okay. This baseline is no longer necessary, but I am going to keep this line because it's handy for placement when I get down the road. The last thing I want to do in 2 dimensions here is I want to go ahead and join all of that stuff. Okay. And I am going to nudge my little stick, remembering that it was connected up to the very tippy top of this. Okay. So I'm going to nudge the stick because what I'm going to do in 3 dimensions now is revolve this. Okay. I suppose it's not a bad idea while I'm here in 2 dimensions to draw the neck on the bottle. Actually, I think what I'll do is come back to that later on. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this for right now. And now I can go ahead up to a southwest isometric view. And I can go ahead and get all my parts and pieces put together. So what I'm going to do is extrude this. And I want to make that extrusion 0.070. And that's the plug now, or the piece of plate that will be inserted into this tank. Okay. I want to make the height of this 14.5. And the reason for that was 15.5 was the distance all the way up to the top of what's going to be the curved portion. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and 3D rotate this part. 3D rotate, pick a base point. I'm going to go around the red ring or hoop, and I'm going to type in 90 degrees. Now I have a this ready to roll. Okay. I've pre-done some layers which are on my website. And so what I'm going to do is put these on the appropriate layers. Okay. And I'm going to start. So these are all solids now. At least two of them are. That's a solid and that's a solid. I want to subtract the inside of this out. So I'm going to go ahead and go subtract. Pick the outside, right click, hover in. And I got to get it till just the inside lights up. Just that inner portion, which is sometimes difficult. I can see that it did subtract it. So if you have difficulty with it, change from realistic to a 2D wireframe, and then go back to subtract. Pick the outside. Always pick the bigger first, then right click, then pick the smaller, then right click again. It won't look as if anything has subtracted at all. It's going to look, at least when you're in realistic, okay? In this case, I'm going to go back to a 2D wireframe, and I'm going to move my object from the very bottom center mark to, sometimes to get these center marks to light up, you have to get into this, towards the center, then pull out, and then come back again, okay? Now I have to find what was the ring, or I'm sorry, not the ring, the plate or the plug. I found it, highlighted it, and I'm moving it from its bottom center mark, and I'm going to go up, following the green dashed polar line, and I'm going to type in 0.5. And at this point now, I have a tank that has a bottom in it, and you can see right here, that bottom is recessed 0.5 inches. Some students in my class are doing this with different software. You could do it with Fusion, you could do it with Inventor, you could do it with just about anything, okay? The last thing I did right there, I'll just go back. I remembered that I want to replace this when I'm all said and done back up here, okay? But I forgot I need to leave it alone for right now. So what I'm going to do, if this will only work if this is joined, when I hover over this, everything is joined. If there's any types of overhangs, like if, for instance, this bottom line went a little bit past or something else, it will not work, okay? So under the extrude, I have revolve. I'm going to come down and select the object. And this is like spinning, revolve is like spinning something around on a, on a hub, like spinning a wheel on a hub. So I can pick, it's asking me for an axis. So it wants 2 points on an axis. And as you see, I can cruise around. And as I do that, it makes a, it'll allow me to revolve to any point I want to. So in this case, I would type in 360, and that gives me 360 degrees of revolution. And I'm going to go quickly back to here. The difficulty in this, the most difficult part would typically be placing it. So what I'm going to do is, that's why I left my stick the entire time, because it allowed me to, and now I'm having a hard time getting it back. So what I think I'll do, in order to hopefully make this a little easier on myself, I think I'm going to draw a construction line, because that stick would really make it handy. If I were to go from that quadrant to the same quadrant on the inside, now I can move this object from its endpoint to the midpoint of the construction line. I could get rid of that whole thing. At this point, I could just grab it by the stick. But if I come up towards the top, I have an endpoint right there. Smack it on and go to a realistic. And now I have a very realistic looking top of my tank. that is the end of video 1. Video 2, I'll come back and make the neck for the bottle, and then I'll come back and start with other pieces and parts.